The Chicago Bulls regular season schedule has been released, and although we're a couple days late to this, maybe even a week depending on when this is released, I kind of want to go over the key dates for the Bulls 2022-23 regular season. Now, with 82 games in the year, as we all know, every game does matter in the final scheme of things, but I have a couple games here that I find to be keys, whether it's rivalry games, whether it's the expected return of somebody, two guys playing against each other, whatever it may be. I have some key dates. But if you enjoy this content, please like and subscribe. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year. I cannot do that without your help. But let's not waste any more of your time. Let's get right into this. The key dates for the Chicago Bulls 2022-23 season. Now, the most obvious thing to do here is to start at the beginning. The first game of the year is on October 19th against the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat, who were the best team in the East last year, at least in the regular season, is the very first game for the Bulls this year. And a key point to remember here is the Bulls struggled immensely against top teams last year, even playoff teams. And the beginning of the year is very, very difficult time for the Bulls in that being that they play a lot of top teams in the Heat, Bucks, Celtics, all early in the top 5, top 10 games of the year. They're playing at least 5 to 7 games against playoff teams. Now, in October 21st, we have Zach LaVine against Bradley Beal, two of the top shooting guards in the league outside of Devin Booker going against each other. Who will win? Will the Wizards be a playoff team? A lot of questions that we'll be kind of learning as the season progresses, but Zach LaVine against Bradley Beal is always a very interesting game to watch. The next game is the first home game for the Chicago Bulls on October 22nd, the first back-to-back as well, and that will be against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, the Cavs were kind of a surprise team last year, and I think have definitely raised expectations, maybe a little bit too high for how good of a team that they actually have, but the Bulls will be playing them in the first home game of the year, which I do expect to be very good. Now, the first game against the highest odds to win the championship in the Boston Celtics will be on October 24th. And the Bulls did win one of 3 games last year, and I think they have an opportunity to do something like that again. But the Boston Celtics do have the highest odds to win the championship, and the Bulls will play them on October 24th. Now, the first game against who I say is probably the best player against the Bulls in Joel Embiid and the 76ers will be on October 29th. Again, the first month is a very, very difficult time for the Bulls. This is where we will see how great the Bulls can truly be this year and if they're going to be able to play against some top playoff teams. November 2nd will actually be, if I remember correctly, the Rivals game. And I might be remembering that incorrectly. But nonetheless, November 2nd will be Lonzo Ball versus LaMelo Ball, as long as Lonzo Ball does return from injury. Quick note here, whether this is the rival game or it's later on, it is against the Hornets, and I think that's a really odd Rivals game. Why would it not be against the Pistons, who an immense rivalry against the Bulls, or the Bucks or something like that? I think it's odd that it would be against the Hornets. But November 2nd is going to be Lonzo Ball versus LaMelo Ball, the Ball brothers playing each other. And on November 6th, we will see the return of DeMar DeRozan to the Raptors. And although he has played there plenty of times since he actually left there, I think it's always kind of a great game to watch when DeMar does return there after they, kind of turned their back on him a couple years back, sent him to the Spurs, and now he's on the Bulls. So he will play the Raptors in Toronto on November 6th. Lonzo Ball's first game against the Pelicans, as long as he does return from injury at the Pelicans, will be on November 16th. Last year, he actually did not play in New Orleans against the Pelicans because of his injury. He ends up missing it. He did play against the Pelicans, but not at New Orleans. And on November 16th could be the first time he plays back in New Orleans after being traded to the Chicago Bulls. Now, the first game against the Bucks, who knocked out the Bulls in the playoffs last year, is on November 23rd. A little bit later in the year than most probably would have expected, being that you'll likely play them a little bit earlier on, but first game is going to be on November 23rd. Now, away trip streaks and home trip streaks at times can be a really pivotal moment of the year for teams. And the longest away trip for the Chicago Bulls is from November 23rd until December 4th, being 6 games in a row that they will be away and playing teams in their facility. That's a very long time, and depending on how they do on this, that could be, a really good time for the Bulls to show their ability to go and win. Now, their first game against the championship winning Warriors will be on December 2nd, and Warriors are definitely in a great position to potentially run it back, but I think the Bulls could end up sneaking this one out, give or take, depending on how people are playing and people being healthy. Now, as mentioned, home stands and away stands are really key pivotal points, and although the away stand is 6 games, the longest home stand is actually only 4 games, going from December 26th to December 31st. I might have got that wrong. That seems a little bit wrong because that would be back-to-back-to-back games. But nonetheless, right at the end of December, the Bulls have 4 games at home, and that is their longest homestand of the year. I think they also have one other time that's a 4-game homestand. But the fact of the matter is that's, not an extremely long homestand. You would like to see a little bit more because that's when you can start getting things rolling, especially at the new start of the year. Vooch's return to the Orlando Magic will be on January 28th. The last game of the year will end up being against the Pistons on April 9th. So, now that we've went through every single game, we've went through the key dates, let's talk about some of the key matchups, no matter what the days that they play. Some key things. As mentioned before, the Bulls struggled heavily against playoff teams, and although they did end up winning 1 of 3 games against the Celtics, that is going to be a situation there where the Celtics made it to the championships. Can the Bulls prove that they can win against a team that was right there knocking on the doors of winning the championship? Also, against the Bucks, who they end up losing to 4-1 in the playoffs, can they manage to get some wins against the top team? The 76ers, who, always seem to be doing really well, especially Joel Embiid, can they get some wins against them? And out in the West, can the Bulls manage to get some wins against the opposite conference, such as, the Warriors? Can they get wins against a team that just won the championship? Can they get wins against both the LA teams that are in, pretty high odds to win, even if I don't think Lakers are going to do anything this year? But what can the Bulls do against some of these top playoff teams? So, what are your guys' games you're most looking forward to watching? For me, I really hope to, be able to go sit and watch the Minnesota game at Minnesota because I do like Russell, I do like Rudy Gobert, I do like Cat, and I get to watch the Bulls against them. So that's the game that I'm going to be looking forward to. Last year, I was supposed to go to the last game of the year against the Timberwolves in Minneapolis. I ended up not being able to. But that's a game I do look forward to most years because it's an opportunity for me to go and watch myself in person. And that's something that I have not ever done before, sadly. Something I've always wanted to do, but just never really had the time or money to do so. But what are some games that you guys are looking forward to watching, whether in person or on your television? And if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. As mentioned at the top of the show, I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year, and I cannot do that without your guys' help. And as always, I hope it touched some today. Hope it made you smile. Hope it made you laugh. Something's really important to me. Affects someone else today in a great way because every single day can be a great day if we all just put in the effort. And as always, you guys all be safe out there. But something deep inside won't let